And we've got all the right in the world on our side. And there ain't no reason to be afraid. And there ain't no reason to not take the challenge dead on. Because I'm going to tell you who we come from, folks. We don't come from some weak, jellyback, spineless people. That's not who we come from. None of us. And it doesn't matter what color you are, what nation your folks hail from, how much money you got. We all share the same name. We are Americans. And at Bunker Hill, there was Americans. And at Fredericksburg and Gettysburg, there was Americans. And at Iwo Jima, raising that flag on Suribachi, it was Americans. And at Pork Chop Hill, there was Americans. Quezon, there was Americans. And on 9/11, there was Americans who ran towards those burning buildings. That is who you share your heritage with. You do not share your heritage with a weak and ineffective people who cower at the sight of trouble. You share your heritage with a strong and brave people who are determined to hold on to their freedom and for the freedom of future generations. Guys, it's time for us to stand up and be that generation. It's time for us to stand strong and proud and remember who we are. That we are Americans. And as long as we stand as the vanguard of freedom in this nation, freedom will survive you. Not only survive, it will thrive. So guys, it's time to put on our packs. It's time to fix those bayonets. It's time to get ready. We got a fight on our hands. And our fight is not for us, for all those generations that's going to come behind us. Let's save America, folks.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Right? So, yeah, you weren't hearing my voice anyway. You thought I was on mute. No. There's no voice here to begin with. I'm chattering away as the mute button. I have no idea why it's still on. But yes, my voice is still gone. It happens every now and then, about every decade it'll go for a while. And I have to force it and rebuild it to come back. And so that's what I'm in the process of doing. And it goes in, it goes out. It's kind of one of those things that I can push really hard, and then I push it too hard, and I lose it for a little bit more of an extended time. So welcome, folks, to the Should Not Smoke Cigars, Inhale Cigars show. No, it's just a funkiness I have with my voice. But we're going to do a great lesson today. And we're going to teach you about how Democrat cities maintain tyranny. You need to see this because you'll be surprised just how well it works. It's actually a bona fide, written out, documented training program. True. Hey, do me a favor. Will you give me the finger? Little tickle too, doesn't matter. You know, everyone just give me a finger. Share this program with everybody you think should learn about this. This is an interesting one. It might help you put things into perspective, because I tell you, if you don't know how the system does it to us, you don't know how to defend against it, and that's the deal. By the way, today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. Here's what we'd really like you to do. It's not about investing in gold and silver. I just want you to go feed your brain. Then, if it makes sense to you, you might figure out what you need to do. I mean, gold's what, $4,600 an ounce? I started telling you this before it was $1,500. But I don't do it because you need to know about investing. I do it because you need to know about your retirement savings account, IRA, 401k. And if you needed it, say you had a crisis, tried to get some out, they're going to ding you 50% in some cases. And it's your money you've been paying in forever. From that angle, go to jovanlovesgold.com, request a free gold and silver kit today, because now is the time to protect, well, yourself, your money, your family, your kids with gold and silver. Please do it. Plus, I have a special gold program coming up for you. We're going to be diving into it. Anyway, you want to see some crap real quick before we hop off into the crap? Did you hear about the new Barbie that was introduced? Put it in chat if you heard about the new Barbie that was introduced. Have you heard this story trending, the new Barbie? Yeah. Divorced Barbie? You haven't heard of Divorced Barbie yet? Yeah, she comes with all of Ken's shit. No, I'm kidding. There is a new Barbie, though. That's what Divorced Barbie would be. Yes, there is a new Barbie. And Divorced Barbie would be great if she came with all of Ken's shit and then she hooks up with G.I. Joe and, lives forever. But anyway, there is a new Barbie. Here she is. Yes. Autistic Barbie. I kid you not. Autistic Barbie. She comes with noise-canceling headphones. She comes with a finger fidget wheel, where you can constantly fidget and do something. Loose-fitting clothes, so as not to agitate their ADD. And a tablet that has augmentative and alternative communication apps on it. I kid you not. She's even got her own version. This is true. You can look it up. Kind of like G.I. Joe Kung Fu Action. They intentionally loosened, I don't know why, I think it's kind of racist. Her elbows and her wrist have looser joints. I kid you not. It is part of the Barbie Fashionistas line. It is the Barbie Autism Spectrum Disorder. Barbie. When I think of these things and we talk about society, and I think about some of the things our society puts out, because toys are a direct reflection of not only where our society is, but where they want to push our society. I just think about all this stuff. And what does it mean about all of us as humans? When these are the toys they need to put out to our kids to reflect what's going on in society. It's pretty embarrassing if you ask me. Kind of shows how far we've fallen, but that's the plan. And that's what I'm going to show you today with a bit of history, a bit of what's going on right now, because I'm going to reveal to you the secret of how Democrat cities maintain tyranny. And it's appalling, but you will understand it's happening. Share this program. We'll get started right after this.
Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County Full Forensic Audit Archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now.
Warning. The following program has been rated Dilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians? The elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd. Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, folks, welcome to the program. We're going to be talking about how Democrat cities maintain tyranny. If you haven't been following the last few weeks, you may have never heard my voice like this, but you have to understand, living remotely the way I do, and with the manor literally being up on top of the mountain, my drive is kind of down the river through a waterfall into the mountain. When I get the car in and the elevator rides up, it is almost impossible not to get wet in cold weather. Now, I tell Albert about this all the time and say, Albert, you got to invent some way to keep me from getting wet when I pull into the mountain from the city. And then typically I should probably, my issue with going into the city at night. But so if any of you have any really good ideas, and you can understand with what I'm dealing with, right, with the manor house up on top of the mountain, having to drive kind of off the river. My car kind of hops this little creek and goes into this cave. A lot of water coming down. No way to not get wet. A lot of bats. Very damp. And it messes with my voice. Right. And so that's why I'm bad man. And you have to understand it. And so I've blown my cover. And due to the fact I've blown my cover, I'm asking you, I'm hoping that I can wear these glasses. My buddy does it. He poses as a journalist. He wears glasses and people can't figure out what he really does. I'm hoping that if I wear my glasses, it'll help people not see my true career. I don't know. But that's what's going on with my voice, just so you understand. And with this voice, I'm going to teach you why cities like Gotham, that are heavily Democrat controlled and out of control, how it's all about tyranny and chaos. And you will be surprised. I'm telling you, you will be surprised how well this works. All kidding aside, we are living at the time that we clearly see that all of us are being manipulated, massaged, controlled, and moved like pieces on a game board. Even people, I was kind of dialoguing, not with, but at a conservative quote unquote reporter on Twitter yesterday about audit stuff, who kind of had the same view as the liberals did. Well, show me a report and I'll see what I think of it, meaning the audit, versus a reporter's supposed to report, here it is, dig, download, read. And I realized that even good people can get trapped into performing the duties of a broken system, of a deep state. Part of what I talked about is right now, I think there's only two choices in our country. It's either America survives or America dies. That's all that's left, folks. It's not left, it's not right, it's not Christian, it's not Jewish, it's none of that. That's all over. That's junk, chaos, over, ineffective anymore. It is literally America survives or America dies. And you have to choose sides based on that, which basically means you might have to talk about things that you don't want to admit that somebody else is right and you were wrong, but it's the difference between America survives and America dies. So I've decided to try to accelerate the peeling back of the curtain to help you understand maybe even more, and maybe people for the first time, if you've never followed me, to really understand we are trapped in one huge, very long-running nightmare of psychological warfare. No matter how much you think you're free, no matter how much freedom you think you have, no matter how much you think you have insulated yourself from the system, the sad state of affairs is we are all trapped in this together. And when you're trapped in with other people in a mess or in a prison, you're only as good as your weakest link. Think of that. You've got to survive. You've got to make sure you can take care of yourself and your family, but you got one libtard snowflake that cries at the drop of a hat, runs around like a chicken with no head. But when it comes time for them to perform and do their duty for the group, they're going to fall apart. That's why you're only as good as the weakest link around you. Now, that weakest link is something that has been designed to be embedded with every one of us. See, because naturally it wouldn't be here. Through people living and growing, sacrificing and suffering together and coming out the other end better, that weakest link ultimately goes away. Everybody collectively upgrades. Everybody collectively upgrades their skills, right? That weakest link goes away. Well, the system understands they need those weakest links because that weak link is how they get to you. So the system creates weak links to be embedded with those of us that just want to survive, just want to be free, just want to control as much of our lives as we can. Right? This is how it happens. This is what they do to us. This is how they break us. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you this formula. The first part of it, I just want you to kind of do a mental check or maybe on a piece of paper. Does this sound familiar to you? Again, a little bit of history here, combined with how do Democrat cities maintain, that's the key, how do they maintain tyranny? Now, at the basis of this are adult leering sinners. We'll all make fun of that now, but boy, isn't it the truth. One letter changes the whole meaning of what you should have really learned by something. And I'm doing this because you can be convinced you are a patriot. You can be convinced you are fighting for the right thing. You can be convinced that we've got to fix our freaking elections. But the system and the influence of people can keep you away from the truth and literally turn you into warriors for the opposite thing you're standing for. Now, the way they do this, and that's the tyranny part of it, because those that enact tyranny always have to fight to stay in control. You understand that, right? The fight is not taking away liberties. That's not the fight. The fight is not taking away freedom. The fight is we don't pay attention. Tyranny gets in, and then tyranny creates a constant fight to stay in power. They're the one creating the fight. Let me give you a little bit. This is what's called, historically, tyranny maintenance. That's a word. Now, tyranny maintenance kind of works like this. You've got to get people to distrust each other. You think that's going on? You've got to get people to feel powerless, to feel like they cannot act together. They got to feel powerless. Do you think some of that's going on? And you've got to get people to accept what's called the management rule. Well, the managers, the government, the politicians, they know what's best. Kind of like social distancing. They know what's best. Now, all of this, just those very simple things I talked about, are key anchor elements in what's called tyranny maintenance. Let me give an example. If you want to maintain tyranny, and you are using the government for tyranny, you're oppressing people, you're controlling people, you're raping the wealth of people, you're a tyrant. If you're doing that, you have to keep that maintained. Now, part of the maintenance rule, when you're a tyrant trying to maintain control, what you're going to do to maintain that is you're going to make sure your people are in a what's called permanent crisis framing. Permanent crisis framing. Now put this down. I just want you to understand what it is, because I'm going to give you the handbook. I'm going to show you exactly where this comes from. You can study it yourself. You can check off all the boxes. You can see this happening. But remember, if you don't know how they do it to you, you do not know how to defend against it. Well, in permanent crisis framing, what it does is it keeps citizens fighting with each other instead of cooperating with each other. Do you think that is going on right now? People are fighting each other versus really cooperating with each other. I think you can say that's going on. You can see it all over. Everybody's fighting at every level with each other. Instead of cooperating, right? I'll give you an example. Instead of cooperating and working to get our great nation out of a massive housing crisis, tyrants basically create a crisis around housing. Well, it's unfair lending, or you're racist in your lending, or you have to have special gay loans, or we got to be able to do black neighborhoods and white have to pay more. You see it going on in New York right now. Do you understand the little crisis mix there? If people just work together, which is what the system, tyrants cannot have people working together. It's got to keep it in the crisis mode. Now, what that's called the mistrust lever. It always needs the mistrust lever prying, right? Prying at the system. Always. When it needs pressure, it does pressure. Now, what happens is when you're applying this mistrust lever and nobody trusts each other and everybody's pissed at each other, it is easier, get ready, it is easier to accept from the government, well, we'll exercise some emergency powers to fix this. We'll enact some emergency powers to solve this for everybody. Now, remember, the government never going to get into that position of emergency powers unless they got the chaos to begin with. So they need the chaos. Now, one of the key levers to this, one of the most time-tested levers to all of this, is the philosophy of the insider versus the outsider. Can you think of some of the insider versus the outsider sentiments that are going on right now? Give me an example of insider versus outsiders. Yeah, you probably look at Minneapolis and you look at all this flux of Somali people, and they're raking in millions and millions and millions of dollars, raping the system while you're trying to make ends meet. You're trying to pay your bills. Minnesota, currently, you're watching this throws in Minnesota. And by the way, it's not just Somali, it's the Muslim element too, the Muslim invasion, etc. This is what's called the citizens versus the foreigners dynamic. Now, the citizens versus the foreigners dynamic is the single most effective historical lever ever for tyrants to maintain power. Now remember, this is the process. How Democrat cities maintain tyranny. Tyranny is the word here. Not maintain their cities, because a lot of these Democrat cities are pure crap. It's about maintaining tyranny. So as we go through this lesson, you understand one of the key ways they do this is they've got to really create this insiders versus outsider identity split. Get it? Now, if they can create these splits, it also reinforces loyalty and rival power centers. I'll give you an example. Mamdani in New York City, didn't he just announce a massive funding program for at-home daycare centers? Going to allot massive funding for it. At the same time, you see in Minnesota that same practice used, and it's raping millions and millions of dollars out of the system. Well, what's going on is Mamdani is letting all the people that know that want to participate in the corrupt system, the money's coming if you just want to do this for us. That's the plan. That's what goes on. And so what it does is it creates insider versus outsider And it will take those people that want to play with the system and it will bind their loyalty. They're not going to walk away. Even if they vote against their interests or not, the checks are too good. And it's going to create alternative power centers within the city. That's what's going on. Now, what they do is in this, the second part of this phase that has to be done, is they have to take what's normal, what's ethical, what is standard, and what is accepted, and they've got to find a way to make that unattractive. Now, how do they make that unattractive? How do they make what's accepted ethical and loyal? And how do they get people to shun away from it? Well, a good example of that right now is going on in Europe. If you stand out in front of an abortion center, and even if you silently pray, you're going to jail. Stand in the streets with a machete saying death to colonists or white guys, nothing's going to happen to you. So what they have to do in this system is they literally have to have this massive disconnect. It requires the disconnect of you thinking, wait a minute, these Muslim invaders raided our teen daughter. I say, damn it, government, you shouldn't have let these illegals in. I'm going to jail for 2 years. As wild as that sounds to you, as horrible as that sounds to you, that's what's going on. See, here's what it is. It is not about those of you that are intellectually honest enough to go, what the hell is going on? That is upside down. That is not what it's about. It is about the weak people first, who basically say, oh, I better not say anything. I better be quiet. Oh, don't say a word. Just duck my head and go. See, that's the low-level fruit they need first. And a lot of them are fruity, but you understand what it is. That's what they need. Because you have a big bulk of people that they will win over into silence by just putting 1 or 2 people in jail. Then they start chipping at the system. Now, when they start chipping at the system, it kind of has this risk versus reward behavior. This is where people always want to be the good teacher's pet. Think about it. Always those few kids in class, total dweebs, total rejects, total ass kissers, that at the drop of the hat, if they could make you look bad, they could make you look bad in the teacher's eyes, they could get you in trouble. They'll do it. You know what I'm talking about. Well, this particular part of the formula that they create with minorities it's actually reverse discrimination, but they do it to intentionally do a perceived discrimination. They want you to discriminate against what's normal. Because if you begin to discriminate against what's normal, what it does is it creates what's called real world hostility. Because basically, this shit ain't right. How can you get arrested and be sent to jail because you are standing outside an abortion center, opposite side of the street, and you're praying silently? They need that. Now, once it gets to that level, what they do is that's where it's called the weaponization of your neighbors. They begin to turn your neighbors into your enemies. You thought you had a bad problem with that neighbor that would report you to the homeowners association because your grass was too long? Those weak people exist everywhere. Take them and make them think that they are morally correct, that they are morally doing the right thing, that they are so better than you. What happens is it inflicts at a neighborhood level what's called the retaliation cycles. Good example. You will get that one neighbor that buys into this crap, and I'm just going to use the homeowners association because a lot of people are understanding it, that just keeps on reporting you for your yard. Your car shouldn't be parked out front. You shouldn't be doing this. You're 6 inches past the mailbox. You know what I'm talking about. We've all had to deal with these. And those weak people who feel empowered by this now, because they're going to buy into it. And they start doing this because they now think they're moral. It's their form of a moral panic. We're just going to be more moral. We got to be out there because these poor MS-13 kids, they didn't really want those tattoos and to cut people up. The bad guys made them do it, and we got to save them all, right? Moral outrage. What it creates at the neighborhood level is what's called the retaliation cycles. You finally get pissed. You finally get pissed. Because that person, that snowflake, that libtard has made your life miserable of the homeowners association, and you finally feel like you just want to go like, punch that son of a bitch out. Come on. You've been there. You know what I'm talking about. Well, see, as they let this simmer, because it's a tactic, what you don't see, because many times we'll try to focus at the national level, it's kind of like voting precincts. There's 175,000 of them. But I tell you right now, there's probably 175,000 of these little neighborhood squabbles going on in neighborhoods right now. And it's somebody who has accepted, well, I'm of the moral road and you can't plant that plant because it's not attractive and you're this. And what it does is it starts creating instability in your life, which is a cancer, which is happening probably simultaneously in 175,000 locations across the United States. And if it goes into a typical conservative family, you may have 4 family members and the whole family gets disrupted. That's the pressure effect, the pressure cooker effect that it's doing. You know these people. Now, when you start mixing all of this together, rewarding bad behavior, right? Doing things that are intentionally done to rob you of your peace, security, liberty, and freedom. Like, we're sorry, but you can't have a garden in your home. It's not on the approved plant list. We're sorry, you can't have a water barrel on the side of your house because the rain belongs to the city. This is all a methodology because it's got to get everything buzzing at all levels. Now, what's really going on is it's actually tyranny trying to stay in control. But you recognize it as tyranny and you say, this is freaking tyrannical. How in the hell can you say a Christian can't pray outside on the street? Isn't that one of our freedom, right? Get it? What you're beginning to understand is for tyranny to maintain control, they actually have to allow you to see it's tyrannical in the first place. You have to see the tyranny. You have to know it's tyranny because, see, tyranny is what they want. Now, when you start to begin to see tyranny and you begin to see normal people being punished for things that are not punishable, and you see criminals not being punished for things that should be punished, it gets to the next level. This next level that they must enact or it won't work is what's called low public trust. Now, when you get into low public trust, here is the cause and effect. People will begin to realize that speaking up costs them too much. If I speak honestly, I'm going to get punished. This is what becomes common think among people. Well, if I state my views that these fucking Muslims are invading us, everybody's going to think I'm a racist, so I'm just going to shut up. Now, this is the formula that is designed to make good citizens become incapable of acting. When you're incapable of acting, when you become just totally incapable of acting and doing what's right, you actually become the last part of the element that enforces the approved narrative. Now, that's the ass kicker right there. See, when you finally begin to self-censor and you withdraw and you become incapable of acting, that's the last little thing they need to happen, because the people around you read off of you too. And the other people quickly begin to accept the approved narratives. Right? Period. People begin to accept the approved narratives. A good example would be the trans topic. Fight, 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 punish, punish, punish. You're wrong. You're say it wrong. You're racist. You're a pig. You use their dead name pronoun. You go to jail. Everybody stops. No coalition building. Finally becomes punitive. You just accept the rules. Guys can have babies. All the guardrails are off. Period. And then comes the devastating effect of what is called unequal application of laws. When you can get enough of this to stick, okay? There's a whole course of study on this. And you begin to get the unequal application of law, which, by the way, in legal standards is one of the hardest things to prove. Selective enforcement. It's very hard to prove. Even though you can see it, when it comes to how court rules are written, it's exceptionally hard to try a case on it based on equal protection. It's very hard because, unfortunately, laws are weapons. And if you realize that the system starts weaponizing law, then you basically throw your hands up and say the whole freaking system's rigged. Now, do you understand these elements? First, put it in chat. Can you see these elements going on daily in our local, our state, our national, and our world governments right now? Can you see this going on? If you can see it going on, put it in chat. If you're just seeing these various things kicking in, it's happening now. You can see them happening now. It's absolutely going on. Okay. I'm going to give you the operational handbook of how to do this. This is the plan that tyrants must execute if they want to completely take over society. This is a proven plan. Okay? Now, this proven plan was first rolled out because it is a plan of how Democrat cities maintain tyranny. How do tyrants maintain control? And the manual came out in the year 326. And it's the history of political thought. It's basically Aristotle's Science of Tyranny. They date it to just before, not any earlier than 336 BCE, because it refers to the Lyceum and Philip of Macedonia's death. Now, I want you just to understand that. What happened to those great civilizations? They disappeared. Their great learning, universities, societies, everything totally went away. These guys were telling us how it happened while it fell. That's why this is called the Aristotle effect. Because Aristotle said tyrants preserve themselves by sowing fear and mistrust among the citizens by means of spies, by distracting them with foreign wars, by eliminating men of spirit who might lead a revolution, by humbling the people and making them incapable of decisive actions. This is a playbook. Now, in Aristotle's time, when he was teaching it and when he was saying what was going on, he basically said one of the quickest ways to take over a society is to take over the mindset of the women. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment. If you're going to make this fall, what you must do is you must take over the mindset of the women. By the way, Wampa Bernard, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. The system cannot afford for all of us to understand how it's done, why they do it, and to see it for what it is. They've got to keep us blind, because as long as you're blind, you will keep on participating in it. Back in Aristotle's times, the bickering, the naysaying, the rumor mill, the bad people in the system went after two types of people. They went after the women and basically got the women to inform on their husbands. And they went after slaves. There was slavery in that time, and got the slaves to betray their masters. Now pay attention. Very important here. Why did they go after women and slaves? Women and the oppressed. Let's use the oppressed. It applies today. Why did tyrants target those two groups? Because historically, women and slaves do not conspire against tyrants. They tend to be quiet against the tyrants. Women inherently are disposed to be friendly. Tyrants use it to their benefit. They harness that emotion that comes across as sincere, and they basically, even way back when, no, we're for the women. We got to give the women power. And we're obviously talking about the wrong ways. Because what happens is They understood if they could control the female, who technically kind of controlled the home and had probably a little bit more permissiveness about the slaves and our women, then they will end up doing the dirty work for the tyrants. Does that sound familiar? We got this lady who they've raised $1.5 million for, who drove 350 miles for the ICE thing, and now people believe she got shot because she was lesbian. No. It's because they're convincing women, which, by the way, let's just look at this one woman. She had a family, a child, walked away from it, became lesbian, rejected everything man, everything white society, but she still has the mothering nature. When this big crash of feminine happens, what are they tapping? They're tapping a woman's nature to be mama bear. They're just not letting mama bear be mama bear over her home, or mama bear over kids, or mama bear over raising good people. They're displacing that rage, which mama needs to do it. It's pent up, and they're releasing it as a weapon. These women will become mama bears for the transgenders, or mama bears for the illegals, because they see somebody they think, that's why it's always women and slaves, who's victimized, that we've got to go help and be free. We're talking about something that was taught how this works in 336 BC. That lethal combination, that if the tyrants can tap that, these women, combined with the slaves, will topple the entire society. And what's interesting, it's called the logic of tyrannical control, because to the women seeing it, or the oppressed, quote unquote, you're oppressed, we're here to save you, seeing it, they think it's totally logical. Totally logical. Now, what happens is the tyrants invest in the foreigners, not the citizens, the foreigners. They let all these foreigners come in. Come sit at our table. We'll take care of you. Why do they do that? Why do they do that? It's because when politicians are bad, their own citizens become their rivals, so they can't have that happen. And so what they do is they import the foreigners and say, we'll give you a seat at the table, because the foreigners inherently are not politically threatening. Citizens realize they're losing everything as these politicians, and you start seeing cause and effects of their laws, their rules. The citizenry gets pissed off. The politician doesn't want to face the citizens. The politicians bring in the foreigners who don't have shit, and it helps if they have a very low IQ. And all of a sudden, these foreigners think, we fucking hit the jackpot. And they don't want to do anything to fuck up that gravy train. Even to the point they'll become violent against the citizens protesting the tyrants. Do you see how this works? Do you see how long this has been in act? From time immemorial, when the ruling class tips and becomes the tyrants. And the system is in tyranny. The tyrants brings in foreigners, gives them better benefits than the citizens, gives them better lives than the citizens, and puts the foreigners at the table first. period. It is one of the base rules of how tyrants stay in power. It's a rock solid rule of how tyrants stay in power. Aristotle warned of this. History has told us. This is why I've always told you, history continues to repeat. If you don't understand history, now you understand why they don't teach it. If you don't understand history, you don't understand what's going on. This formula begins with the three heads. That's it. It's the three aims. They've got to humiliate you. Are you being humiliated? They've got to make you petty and fighting over everything. Is that going? You better believe it. They've got to break all mutual confidence. They've got to make you mistrust everything. And when you become petty and fighting and bickering and you trust nothing, you basically walk into the incapacity for action. That is what turns you powerless. See, the real threat against tyrants always has been free citizens, because it is from the free citizens it's the free citizens that transform into the political rivalries. It is the free citizens that organize the resistance. This is a multi-thousand-year plan. Repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. We don't get it. And they always use the same tactic. Always. It's always been the same. People telling on each other, systems telling on each other, etc. That's how old this is. That is why one of the things I try to do is give you the history to walk away with. Because if you don't understand what they're doing, you can't fight against it. If you don't understand, and I'll give you an example. I spoke of it earlier in the program. A supposed conservative writer will not write anything about the findings of the Arizona audit. And exactly what the left says, well, I haven't seen a report. Nobody's given me a report. Show me a report. Same thing the left says. But I tell you, that person who served for our military for this country absolutely swears he's a patriot, he's a conservative, and wants this fixed. Doesn't even understand the system has already captured him. The system has already turned what might have been, his intent to do good work, has already turned it against him and learned how to suppress it, guide it, and control it. Because sentiment, what other people think, well, I can't cover that. People will, well, I can't cover that. Nobody likes that. Folks, the amazing amount of walking zombies we have is nuts. History shows you what's going to happen. You don't have to guess. History shows you. You don't have to guess what the hell do these guys have planned, coming up in elections. You don't have to guess it. You don't have to know some secret formula. You don't have to be some math degree. You just have to have your eyes open. It's just like the damn votes. Even though Trump's been in for a year, Kamala's gone from 68 million to 75 million votes. This is the system showing you exactly what the hell they're going to do and when it's coming. But if you can keep on worrying about who's wearing red tennis shoes, who released the porter or the photos, well, what about that server? They basically keep you in chaos everywhere to keep you away from the one thing that you are, their replacement. And it's everywhere. And it's a formula over and over and over again. We're talking 2,000 years ago. Tyrants then are going to preserve themselves by sowing fear. They're going to make the citizens mistrust each other. They're going to get people to lie and backstab and rumor and spy. They're going to distract the citizens by foreign wars and crap. They're going to eliminate men of spirit who would actually stand up and lead a revolution. They're going to do it by humbling the people and making them incapable of decisive actions. Well, I don't want to say the PCAPs is really crap because they wear a cross on the outside, and that'll make me a meanie, and I'm not a Christian hater. It's a con, folks. We are living in such a massive bullshit con. You literally, most people are two minds. You know the CIA and all this other stuff can manipulate our elections. But yet you think, well, an unidentified CIA whistleblower is going to help us out of it. Can I just ask you a question? How stupid is that? You ever just ask yourself that question? How stupid is that? Trump gets in, it's the Russian. They take over the election. Bad election. No, it's the Venezuelans. Same old shit. Because the system is not about fixing itself. The system is about controlling us. Do you think with what went on in 2020, the bad guys decided to just steal the election and didn't cover their ass with people that would create cover for them the whole time, disguised as conservatives? Do you think they would forget that point? They're so smart they can rig a national election, but they would forget to cover their ass and give you new heroes and new influencers and new talkers to say, yeah, it was Venezuela. That's the chaos factor. We're living it. Aristotle warned us of it. You can go get this book. You can download it anywhere online. Go take a 2,000-year-old sobering look at what the hell's going on today, and you would swear somebody was writing this right now. And then I want you to think about how many generations from then to now gave their lives. 2,000 plus years of them. And here we are. Here we are repeating it. Because, well, I don't like that person. Well, I heard I heard this person. He's a Jew. How fucking petty are we? There's only two choices left, folks. America survives or America dies. And sometimes the truth is ugly. Sometimes the truth hurts. But you go with the truth because it's the only thing that will absolutely make sure America survives. And by the way, you now know how Democrat cities maintain tyranny. And isn't it so sickening just how easy this is and how well it actually works? Share this program.
Our courts are based on clear and convincing evidence. Want convictions? Want justice? For what happened in the 2020 election? Then we need your help. Not fixing 2020, will damn our nation forever. The decision you make in the next few moments could decide whether we ever get our elections fixed or not. Here's why. Trump campaign and allies file 64 different lawsuits. They all went down in flames. 100% of these cases were presented on "It's the machines," or "The machines changed the votes," or "The voting company executive said he would make sure Donald J. Trump would not win." They all went down in flames. Why? You can't bring theories to court as evidence. No supposed Zoom call or six-degree polynomial math theory or census data is or ever will be proof of fraud. You can't bring theories to court as evidence. Here's why. In both civil and criminal law, the side making a claim carries the burden of proof, and prosecutors must prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Without physical or otherwise verifiable evidence, a case cannot meet this high threshold. Physical evidence is the key. The question is, did anyone get relevant, reliable, provable, testable, and duplicatable evidence of what really happened in the 2020 general election? And the answer is yes, absolutely. The full forensic audit of Maricopa County, Arizona is the only evidence-gathering work which gathered relevant, reliable, provable, testable, and duplicatable evidence of what really happened in the 2020 general election. Evidence so damning that the system, the deep state, and those who pulled the strings of this country have fought to keep it hidden and have hoped to have it be forgotten to time. Almost $3 million invested in time, funds, and efforts to unlock that which the system wanted hidden. But now, that evidence is in danger of being lost forever. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then we need your help. Please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. With the 2026 midterms coming up, the system is going to try to lame duck President Trump and then most likely introduce new impeachment proceedings. This is the evidence which will help win the war which is surely to come. We need to keep Maricopa County full forensic investigation and archive secure and ongoing. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then we need your help. Please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We need your help securing the full forensic audit archives. Don't allow the only testable, objective, and reliable 2020 election evidence fall into obscurity. Millions were spent on getting it documented and tested. This is historic evidence. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County full forensic audit archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. Please donate now.